Welcome back, guys, to another video. I'm going to be talking about Colorado's portal ranking and talk about some other things in regards to the psychological construct of the football team and how that can play into how they can, react or respond to adversity this football season coming up. Um, I think that's very important to note. um, their rankings in terms of just this is just the portal transfer rankings. They rank number two, right behind Louisville. Louisville is number one. Louisville has had a total of 26 transfers through the portal, and Colorado has had a total of 24. So they're relatively close, neck and neck, with a difference of two. Um, the difference with Louisville, their index score is 91, and Colorado's index score is 89. And how are they predicating this? Where they're looking at how many 5 stars you have who've transferred through the portal, and they're looking at how many 4 stars and 3 stars, and they're also looking at at each player's individual player ranking. So all those things play into how they come up with the index score. They're also looking at how much the transfers coming in are projected to help your team. So just through the portal transfer alone, we're not talking about recruiting from high school, just the portal transfer, because there are many elements to getting players on your team. You can use the transfer portal, you can use the recruitment. You can go by the recruitment. You can go through the recruitment path if you want to go that route. Usually teams that are trying to build solid programs for the future, they rely heavily on recruiting and they develop those young freshmen that come in. It's a program. But it seems like what Coach Prime is trying to do here is quickly stack his team with talent. There's nothing wrong with that if you want to win immediately. But there are some drawbacks to that approach. And I'll get into that a little bit later. So right now, neither Louisville or Colorado, Louisville being number one, Colorado being number two, in regards to the transfer portal rankings. And it seems like on here neither Louisville or Colorado has had a 5-star transfer. Now, Louisville has had 8 transfers that are 4 stars, and Colorado has had 5 transfers. That means coming from another school to join Colorado, who are 4 stars. 3 stars, both Louisville and Colorado are tied 18 and 18. And the adjusted NIL value of the transfers that came in were $2.4 million for Louisville and 8.1. I'm sorry. Adjusted. Okay, so for Louisville, they got adjusted. They went up 2.4 million, and Colorado went up about 1.2 million. So they're like neck and neck in regards to score index. They're neck and neck. It's only a 2-point difference. So I mean, kudos to Coach Prime for his his name, his branding of social media, just pushing the narrative of Colorado. They're like the hottest item right now in college football. They have to be. They might not be the most talented. They may not be the most accomplished. It's not as if they're coming off of a national championship win. They're not. They finished horribly last year, but even with all that being said and done, they still are garnering a lot of attention from a lot of people. Many people who are not even strong NCAA football, passionate fans. They're not even passionate fans who are following Colorado now. So you don't have to be a college football enthusiast to find yourself enticed by the allure of Colorado football with Coach Prime and company. It has a potential to have a storybook ending with the Suns on his team, but it also has a potential to be a disaster and a nightmare as well. So kudos to Prime for that. I think this is a good thing. It can't be a bad thing. One thing I do see on here is that the solid teams, and it makes sense, the teams that have a good program, like I'm scrolling all the way down here. Like I see teams like Michigan, they're like ranked number 41 in regards to the transfer portal. Like they have a program that's set. Any transfer trying to come in there through the portal is not. You might not play. You might find yourself at the bottom of the depth chart. So, like for instance, they only had two transfers the entire this entire time after the football season. They only had two transfers, two. You know, USC had 11. They're ranked number 34. Again, Michigan, they're ranked number 41. So it seems like the teams that had a slight drop off are teams who need the talent are getting those transfers. But I think what's working for Coach Prime is that his name, his branding, and I give him kudos for that because you have to. That's a recruiting tool. Even when when there's news that's associated with Colorado, they end up playing it on ESPN. They end up showing it on First Take, or they end up showing it on Undisputed. Coach Prime gets to come on shows and talk, and those are all recruiting tools. Those are all great recruiting tools, and it's boding well for him. Now, let's talk about the psychology of the team construct and what's going on. And I see many of the players, and I like what Alton McCaskill is doing. I see some of his stuff on X, and I think that he's becoming an unsung leader of the team. He may not be the most flashiest guy, but it seems like what happened to him last year matured him. He's working very hard. I'm not saying that he never worked hard before, but you can see this renewed spirit and this renewed spunk within him. It seems as if he's looking at the game in a whole new way. Because oftentimes in life, we often have to have things taken from us to appreciate it. And him not playing much last year, barely getting rushing attempts, having to actually redshirt the remainder of the season, I think that was a humbling moment for him. So I think that this year he's coming out with a vengeance. And I don't look at leaders as the ones that Coach Prime deems to be the leaders, because there's a little bit of bias when Coach Prime talks. He talks about Travis Hunter, he talks about his son Shador, and he talks about Shiloh. However, I still believe that there are other players on that team who are not, the most popular players or the players that people talk about the most. I think a player like Alton McCaskill is a good leader, not because he's loud, not because of his verbal prowess or his verbal theatrics, not because he's verbally just screaming. He's not a rah-rah kind of guy. But I think that his work ethic and how he puts his head down and just works hard. I think sometimes leaders can lead by example. There are many forms of leadership. There's not so much of your name. Just because your name has Sanders on the back of it doesn't necessarily grant you the identification as a leader. I mean, you may give you more eyes because you're the son of the coach, but I'm looking at Alton McCaskill as a leader on that team. A drawback that could come with all this popularity and all this notoriety that's being brought their way is that when teams are flying underneath the radar, right? Because it seems like Colorado, they are breaking the norm. They're breaking the status quo. They're the team of this era, meaning that they're paving the way as pioneers in how to do this, how to promote your team, how to promote individual players in terms of individual players having their own social media pages. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not here to be the old guy saying get off my lawn kind of thing. No, I'm not against that. I believe that times do change, and it's up to people who are innovative enough to attach themselves to the evolution of how things are being done. It's not about a right or wrong thing. It's about weighing the advantages and weighing the disadvantages and putting it all into context to understand that no matter what you choose to do, if you choose to go the route in which everyone's moving, you have to also weigh the cost. And I really believe that with all the notoriety that Colorado is getting, somehow, some way, I do believe that if they do come, which they will, it's not even an if, when they face adversity this season, it's going to be hard to take the adversity. I'm going to tell you why. A lot of teams that fly underneath the radar, who don't have all of the public hype as Colorado, they can, them not putting themselves out there, like they don't have a coach that's promoting players to have their own social media pages. They don't have players with their social media accounts on the back of their jerseys. And what the players in Colorado are doing is great because it's drawing attention to the program. Like, again, as I said earlier, it's a way to draw attention to your program, which can also act as a recruiting tool. What young men don't want to go play college football and put themselves on the map and be notarized and be noticed for what they're doing? No young player will go against that. So it's a great tool to entice young men to come there. However, when you're always putting yourself out there, showing the training videos, doing this, doing that, promising to go hard this season, which is good because you have to have a positive outlook. Nobody goes into the season saying, "Oh, we're not gonna be good. We're gonna lose games. We're gonna suck." No one does that. Everyone is hopeful in the beginning. What I'm cautioning is that you tread lightly with that because every team has that same energy and hope, and every team is working hard. Just because Colorado is putting their stuff on social media, let's not be, misguided by our emotions to think that all of a sudden that because they're showing what they're doing online through video output, that all of a sudden they're the hardest working team in college football. That's not the case. What's happening with the other teams is that they're working underneath the radar with their heads down and no one's looking. So when these other teams who are not getting the public hype or getting all of the notoriety or the publicity, what's going to happen is that on game day, that's their time to shine. Whereas with Colorado football players, they're shining throughout the offseason. They consistently have the cameras on them. They're consistently being talked about. So there's not a drastic change from off-season prep to practice to game, because your entire journey or your entire path to get to the game has been publicized. So there's no differentiation. There's no excitement. Yeah, the game may have a little bit of excitement, but the shift is not radical enough to make that much of an impact in terms of getting ready for the football game. See, when other teams are practicing or going through their routines, no one's talking about them. So in order for them to be talked about, they're going to unleash on game day. I want you guys to understand what I'm saying. They're going to unleash on game day. Not saying that Colorado is not going to do that, but it's human nature. Just think about it like in sports, right? Usually when teams are playing a better team, they play up to their competition. And when teams are playing when a good team is playing against a team that's not good or that's poor or maybe one of the worst teams in the league, it happens a lot in the NFL and in the NBA. Teams sort of like take the foot off the gas and they're like, oh, no, we got this team beat. And then the team that's favored ends up losing. Or in games, you have a team that has a huge lead. In football and in basketball, it happens all the time. Then the other team is working hard because they have more pressure on them to try to come back. And it's just human tendency for if you hold that large lead, you tend to kind of relax a little bit because you feel like you have a cushion to take certain plays off. It's just natural human tendency. It doesn't make you a bad player. It's just few players who have that killer instinct that if they have you down by a lot of points, they're just trying to finish you off and just cut your neck off and just completely derail you. But most teams find a way to give up those large leads. And I'm saying all that to say this, that it's human tendency. It's just human. It's just human nature to have all of the attention put on you throughout every little thing that you do. Okay, spring game, practice, scrimmaging, yada, yada, yada. Everybody talking about you. During game day, what's the incentive for the game? Well, you say the incentive, well, that's what they're doing all this for. They're doing this for the game. Well, the entire preparation for the season has been like a game because cameras are on 24/7. It's a reality show up there in Colorado. Okay? So that's the drawback. The positive is that you're getting attention. The drawback is that when adversity comes, it's going to be harder to pick yourself off the canvas because you've totally exposed yourself, because you've exposed everything about yourself. Now you've hit bottom. So that's when people who have a lot of ego and people who have a lot of pride, when they get their ego and pride busted, it's hard for them to lift themselves back up because they've put so much into their ego and pride. Colorado is putting too much stock into their preparation in terms of the visual exploitation that they're allowing us to engage in. Now, I'm looking at it sometimes. It's great for me, but if they turn it off, I'm not going to be upset. And I think that I'm not Coach Prime. I'm not a coach. I've never coached before. But I think going dark wouldn't hurt. When I say go dark, I mean completely shut off everything. Make it a mandate where everybody shuts off their pages. Just everyone hone in 24/7 football. And I know some people will say, well, these guys are young, let them have fun. Well, yeah, we know where fun gets you. Fun gets you to lose 7 of your last 8 games. Fun gets you to the point where teams want to kill you because there's a lot of envy and jealousy that's involved in this. You can't deny that without a doubt. There's jealousy involved because how many other teams are looking at Colorado saying, man, they're getting all this publicity. I can't wait till we play them. So every team that plays Colorado is going to be their Super Bowl or their national championship game. Teams are going to be bringing it against them. So the more heightened recognition and the more heightened responses that Colorado is getting, the more heightened eyes that are put on them, all of the attention, the heightened attention that's being put on them, that same level that's being placed upon them in regards to the attention they're getting is going to be the same level that teams are going to be coming with to derail them. Because when you put yourself out there above the radar, not going underneath the radar, you make yourself public enemy number 1. You become a target and every team is going at you. Even coaches are going at you. Okay? And I don't think Colorado University's football team is that talented enough to play the enemy of college football. Because that's what they're becoming. They're becoming the enemy of college football. They are. But they haven't won anything. That's the drawback. Let's compare it. Remember baseball. Remember when the Yankees were dominant for so many years? They were like the bad guys of baseball. People hated them. People wanted to see them lose because they were so dominant. Look at Duke University basketball. The only people that loved Duke were the people who went to Duke, who played for Duke. Everybody always wanted their team to beat Duke because if you can beat Duke, that was the standard. It means that you're a good team. Well, in this case, Colorado hasn't done anything to be the team that everybody hates that they want to beat. But what they've done without winning and without being dominant as a football program is create so much attention and hype toward their program that it's causing them to feel as if they have done something. So therefore, if you're putting yourself in a position of being dominant where you've not been dominant, you're going to have teams coming at your neck to derail you. That's why it's always good to fly underneath the radar. It's too much this going on in Colorado. Too much talk. Too much talk. And you could talk all you want, but you don't have to air everything and put everything out in social media. It seems like every player has their own individual YouTube page or individual Instagram. Everyone's in front of a camera. They're doing whatever they're doing for the public to see. There's something that's very, very sacred and very, very intentional and very, very personal when you're doing something in solitude. Like when I go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm working hard. I've had people come up to me, tell me, man, I like your workouts. You stay moving. I see you're sweating. You're doing this. I don't put that stuff on video. I don't, because that's, to me, to each its own. There are people who videotape themselves. Maybe they're doing it to see your gains, to show it, to maybe you have your own personal channel and you show your workouts to help other people. I'm not knocking people who do that. But what I'm saying is that when you're a football program, everyone has to be running on the same accord. Unfortunately, with Colorado, everyone is running on the same accord of putting their stuff out there into the social media stratosphere. And I think that's a slippery slope to take because, yes, it could be a motivating factor for your team. Yes, it could be a great recruiting tool, but it can also backfire on you when your team faces adversity because it's hard to pick yourself off the ground when you've hyped yourself up so much. It's the guy in school that goes around bragging how he can beat up everybody, how he's whooped everybody, how nobody can beat him up, and how nobody can do this, and he's beating up everybody, right? Then he gets into a fight and the whole school season get his butt whooped. Do you know how hard it is going to be for that guy who was talking himself up about him beating up everybody? Do you know how hard and difficult it's going to be for that player or that person or that individual to come back to school the next day? But the quiet ones who fly underneath the radar, you don't know what they have. They're the most dangerous ones. So when I look at a team like Colorado, it seems like right now it's more bark than bite because they haven't shown us their bite. They nibbled a little bit last year. We saw the potential of how good they can be. But we also saw when adversity hit, they weren't able to handle that. We also saw a lot of pride and ego and incompetence on the part of the coaching staff who would not change their philosophy at all on the offense, who had agendas, who played favoritism, and we all saw it. Daddy ball is evident. All right, daddy ball is evident, and I hope that that's not the case this year. So again, it's great. It's a great tool. I know we're in the age of social media, and everyone has a phone, and everyone is videotaping their stuff. That's great, but just do know the cost that comes with everything. Everything that glitters is not always gold, and sometimes when we try so hard to deviate from those traditional approaches that were in the past, and we deem those traditional approaches as obsolete and irrelevant, and it's not needed, it's not prevalent in these times, just do know that sometimes moving away from old traditions is not always good. Sometimes it's good to hold on to those old traditions and just do things the old-fashioned way. Let the game be all you've been waiting for, because now lights, camera, action, it's on. But when the lights, camera, and action has been on the entire time you've been preparing for the next football season, the 2024-2025 football season, if the lights and the camera and action has always been in flux, I mean, game time comes, what's the difference? It's just more cameras. You've been under the camera. There's no, you get what I'm saying, guys? There's no wow factor. Because the camera's been on you. The camera's been on your team the whole time. So it's a dangerous slope. Whereas other teams who are flying underneath the radar, when game time comes, it's like, wow, this is what we've been waiting for. So, in a sense, in a red shirt, coaching in a red shirt, first year coach of Prime, I've coined that frame, red shirt coach, because I don't believe his first year was truly his first year. I believe his first year was a experiment that went wrong. Louis luggage, hyping the team up. We're going to do this. It's fine to do all those things behind closed doors. And it's fine to do those things without the cameras. But then again, I've had people who have disagreed with me to say, well, he was doing that as a recruiting pitch, as a recruiting tool. Well, that's fine. Whatever tool, whatever means you use to recruit, that's fine. But do know that whatever decision you make as a coach, it not only affects you, it affects your whole program. And it impacts the entirety of your program. And it also affects the way other players are coming at your team. So, Shedeur Sanders, let's not do the Shedeur this year. Let's just play football, score touchdowns, and go to the sideline. You can chest bump with your teammates, but no flashy stuff to the crowd, because you guys already have a big bullseye on your back. Teams are coming for y'all, without a doubt. The Big 12 is coming for you. As a matter of fact, I would say I'm not big into conspiracy theories, but I do believe that the entire Big 12, they have their eyes on you. They want to humiliate you guys to let you guys know you guys are not ready for this conference. We want to humiliate you guys to let you know that you're not going to just come to the Big 12 and improve off of what you did last year. Even though you only won 4 games, you're not going to come here and win more than 4. We want to keep you 4 games or less. And if any team can beat Prime, that's their championship. We beat them. We beat the team that everyone is hyping. Okay, so you have to be very careful with hype. You have to be very careful with how much, publicity you're allowing yourself to intake. Sometimes too much of something could be bad. Too much of anything is bad. Everything has to happen in moderation. And right now, the hype and all the attention going towards Colorado is on steroids right now. It's high. It's very, very high. All right, so that's my take. That's my take, guys. Just understand that it comes with a cost. But if they come out well, it's great. But if and when they face adversity, it won't be good. Because I just feel like it's too much attention, it's too much talking. Don't talk, work hard, put your head down, and just go hard. And if you do, when you do lose a game, it's not that big of a deal because no one knows what you were saying or doing before the season. go underneath the radar again and prepare for the next game. All right. So thank you guys for listening. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment, and I'll come back with another video on another day. All right. Bye, guys. Take care.